Hello, welcome to another Slimmr video, and today's topic is in praise of walking. Recently, I read a study in the Lancet journal which said that we only need to walk 7,000 steps a day, not the earlier prescribed 10,000 steps a day. Now, I can't remember quite when this came into being, the 10,000 steps being sort of the holy grail. I think it's probably about 15 years ago now. But anyway, the recent report said 7,000 will do just as well, which is a bit of a relief for many of us. Now, depending on your stride length, 7,000 steps a day will achieve something like 3 miles in distance. So, as I say, it's dependent on the individual. But if every one of us walked that 5 to 7 times a week, well, my goodness, the health of the nation would improve immeasurably. The study also said, though, that 7,000 steps a day would reduce cardiovascular disease by 25%, cancer by 6%, dementia by a whopping 38%, and depression by 22%. So sounds like if we could all do 7,000 steps a day, we'd be doing ourselves and the country a great favour. Now, we've discussed exercise in a couple of the previous Slimmr videos, and doubtless I've sort of said, well, walking is a very good thing, which it is. And I certainly like to walk. I mean, this is something I've started really late in life. I mean, I never really walked any distances before I was 60. And I try and get up to about 20 miles a week. If you have hot weather or you're busy, you can't do these things, or it's pouring with rain. But it's something to aim for. And I think if you aim for a target like 20 miles, then there's a good chance you might do 17. Whereas if you don't have a good, healthy target to aim for, you probably do much less. I find that in my own case anyway. And the weeks I don't do anything like it, I certainly don't feel anywhere near as fit. But the report did stress that you can get fitness from other activities too, even hoovering. And of course, those of you who are gardeners know that you can get a lot of exercise from gardening. In fact, sometimes it feels like that's too onerous a job. Bear in mind, though, if your chosen exercise format is cycling or swimming, that's great for flexibility and it's great for your cardiovascular system, but it does nothing for your bone density because you're not taking your own weight. So you really need to do some exercise if you want to maintain bone density, which is a very good idea, that will mean that you're taking your own weight and not sitting or letting water take it. Earlier this year, I read a really stunning little book, which is called In Praise of Walking. It's by Professor Shane O'Mara, who's a professor of brain research at Trinity College, Dublin. I've found it riveting stuff. Now, what he says, and of course it makes perfect sense, but I'd never thought about it before, is this: that humans walk specifically differently from all other animals. And that's because at some point in the mists of time, ages ago, an ancestor of ours got up from walking on all fours, stood on 2 legs and went, oh, can see a lot more from up here, and proceeded to walk on 2 legs. Now, this freed this ancestor and all of us up to do other things, because with 2 hands spare now, we could carry our baby, we could throw a spear, we could hold the hand of a loved one. And this has been the reason why man has been able to, for the last 60,000 years, to cross the globe and travel and do all sorts of magical things that animals that work on 4 legs all the time can't do. Now, so walking, we know is good for us, but unfortunately in our busy lives, it's all too easy to take the grandchildren to school by car instead of walking, and not go to the shops on foot and so on. But really, walking is one of those things that if you don't use it, you do lose it. I'm sure we all know people who have been very sedentary and have, always liked to just jump in the car for everything. In the end, because they have not used their muscles and their balance goes and they can't walk, I know plenty of people that really can't walk any distance at all, and now they wish that they had walked when they were younger. If only they could have enjoyed it then, they would not be in the predicament that they are in now. Please don't let that happen to you. Walking is great for us. The British Heart Foundation claims that 11 minutes daily of brisk walking lowers the risk of an early death. And they also say that walking increases our blood flow, helping oxygen and nutrients to move around our bodies, thus making us feel more alert and refreshed. I've also found some very useful information on an Australian health website, which I've taken to using quite often. It's called the Better Health Channel. Now, they tell us that walking not only improves our fitness and well-being, in that it reduces blood pressure, strengthens muscles, improves balance and keeps joints flexible, but it can help us live independently for longer. And that's something I'm sure that we all would like to do. It also highlights the statistic that regular walking could halve the number of individuals aged 45 and over who fracture a hip. That too is very important for those of us in that part of our lives. As for our mental health, walking is well known for elevating the mood, and if we're lucky enough to be able to walk in nice green countryside or in parks in towns, then that helps us because that's quite a de-stressor as well. Walking itself is quite a good stress buster, but if you can do it in a green and leafy surrounding, then I think you get an even greater benefit. So, walking is good for you. It's the oldest form of exercise, and many would say it's the most effective. And it is certainly one of life's inexpensive mood lifts. Hippocrates, the ancient philosopher and physician, said, "Walking is a man's best medicine." I reckon we should take note of that because he knew a thing or two. See you next time.